Hey, this is Larry Benet, Chief Connector and co-founder of Saying, and I am bringing you an amazing, exciting interview with tons of nuggets. We got Albert, who's the mortgage guy, who's running one of the fastest growing mortgage companies in America. We got my buddy Nick Kho in the house, who runs the largest coaching dating company in the world, over 1,000 events a year. And Adam Farfan, of the CEO and founder of Elite Hathaway, one of the fastest growing financial service companies in America. And this was a bomb interview. So it's interesting. So I first learned about you. When was that conference? 2 months ago?
About a month and a few days.
Okay.
A month and a few days.
And then you said that was your very first event you've ever done.
Correct.
And then you had, that was the first time you spoke.
First time I spoke.
That's pretty incredible. Speaking at you. And then you said you spoke right after Grant Cardone.
I spoke right after Grant Cardone, so that was not the most calm experience.
Were you nervous?
No. I was just, actually the 2 weeks before that, I didn't sleep well. I was just preparing for the event. It's my first event, so it's a lot of work that you put into it. And I was like just working my ass, waking up early, sleeping late, and dealing with all that. And the day before the event, I slept like 2 hours. So I slept like 2 hours. And
I'm curious about how you'd fill that client base. And I think that most of it, because you became an authority as a very fascinating person with a fascinating story. And now you live an amazing lifestyle. I'd like to hear about how you actually actualize that. How was your hero's journey from starting from the beginning to where you are now?
Because it was true in 2008, you were like at rock bottom?
yeah, I used to sleep in my car. I slept in my Ford Explorer.
I did the same thing in the same time. Real estate recession knocked me down.
Yeah.
Went from living in a mansion, spending countless amounts of money on parties, to living for weeks in my car. And then I had to get out of it. So I went to a 70-country tour. And then I sold stuff. I sold 270 seminars in 6 months, our programs, to get us out of $500,000 in debt on credit cards.
So bring us back, so real fast. So 2008, you were sleeping in your car for 2 months. How did that happen, and kind of bring us to where you are today?
So I made mistakes. My priorities kind of got messed up. I was partying a lot. I was like, having fun with a lot of girls. And one of those girls was my actual wife now. Did you tell her about the other girls? Or? Yeah, she knows everything. When 2008, when that hit, I lost everything. I was actually negative, and the only person that I wanted to save was my wife, which she's now my wife. And I was really good at closing people, selling. I was always good at sales. Not always, but I got really good. So I knew I could call any of the girls back and close them again. But the only girl that I wanted to close was my current wife. So I called her, and I was actually nervous. One of the few times that I was kind of nervous, because I thought, I wasn't sure if she was gonna say, yeah, I'll go back, I'll pick you up and whatever. So she ended up sleeping in the Ford Explorer for 2 months with me. We used to be so broke we couldn't afford a gym membership. So we used to sneak into the gym so that we could work out. Because I always, one of my passions has always been working out. So we sneaked into the gym so that we could work out, so that we could take showers, and so that we could go to work. So we would shower, go to work. We had a laptop. There was Starbucks. We could use the internet from Starbucks. And little by little, we got everything back under control. So
I'm curious, what's going through your mind when you're living in a car, trying to run a mortgage business, on empty financially? What gives you the juice to get up to move one step ahead of each other every single day during those really difficult moments?
My drive. Like I always had drive, and I always had dreams, and I've never ever given up on my dreams. Not even when I lost everything, when I hit rock bottom, I never give up on my dreams. So that constantly kept me pushing, and I never wanted to go back to my parents' house, because at first it was just like, no, I'm not failing. I'm getting out of this. And I kept fighting, and I never quit. And as long as you don't quit, you're never gonna fail.
Did you ask for help from anyone?
I don't remember all those details, but I'm sure I did. You'd be foolish if you don't ask for help. Like I asked for help wherever I could get help, but there was not that many people that could help me. But I was really motivated to get back. And when I was doing really good, I had a lot of friends. When I started doing bad, a lot of friends left. And so all the haters that were so excited, and they were seeing me down, and they were happy, that gave me extra fuel to like get back up.
So one thing that I think you share with Adam, Adam has a financial services company, you have a financial services company, your business is doing well, both your companies are growing. You both show your lifestyles a lot on social media. You want to talk for a second about Because, you know, what's interesting is I'm around you a lot, and for a while I would see it from afar, and I was like, you know, you're showing your food, you're showing your jet, you're showing the, you know, we're in a beautiful, I don't know if you guys can pan around or see it, but we're in a beautiful home here in the Hollywood Hills. Maybe you could talk about it, you know, maybe Nick, and you can also share.
I think one of the, I can honestly tell you one thing is that right now we are in the largest and fastest ways where we could go ahead and literally go from zero to hero, just because of the fact that social media. You know, I can honestly tell you one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't take advantage of, and I can tell any entrepreneur this, is that if they're not on social media, they do not exist. Right now, what people want to see is who you are. You know, they want to, you know, people feel when they get to know your social media, when they get to see what it is that you're doing, they see transparency, right? They get to see what your life like is on a daily basis. I mean, I can tell you, my business, I've always had investors in the company that I've actually built, but this company, I've been able to build it because of the fact that, just like you, people know the fact that I'm socially well connected. People know the fact that there's a lifestyle behind what I do. They get to see my daily basis, you know, life, who I hang out with and stuff like that. And I can tell you the fact that yours doesn't have to be as glamorous to begin with, but at the same time, you know, the fact that people want to see your presence, like what you post all the time. You know, it's really crazy because of the fact that, you know, for years, I didn't think anybody was watching. And then when I opened up because of the fact that, you know, we were talking about this with Nick, because when, you know, I took a few years off work, you know, we took a few years off, me and Nick would just chill in Vegas, in Utah, wherever. We would just go ahead and, you know, it was insane. And I kept posting stuff all the time. And then when I opened up, you know, when I started Lead Hathaway, you know, last year, you know, all these people started joining the company because of the fact that they're like, we know you, we know who you are, we know you're real, we know this, and we love who you hang out with and everything else. And I'll tell you, because of that, you know, we've got now hundreds of students nationwide. I haven't paid one. I can tell you one thing, and that's depending on what date it is, but I haven't paid for one lick of any marketing whatsoever. You know, because of the fact that I was consistent with it. People got to see it, and I'll tell you this: you may not have the largest following on Instagram or Facebook, but it doesn't matter, because what matters is who sees that. Right? Because the fact that if it's one person, if it's the right client or if it's the right influencer and they like that, that's one thing that they'll be attracted to, and they automatically want to be part of the culture. They want to be part of who you are, who you're hanging around with and stuff like that. And I can tell you one thing, a lot of people told me this at the very beginning. They're like, oh, in financial services, you cannot be showing lifestyle like this because it's a very, like, you know, normally a mortgage guy does not dress like you, just like a financial person does not dress like me. Right?
Same thing that I get.
Right. It's like, no, what it is that we're doing is, this is the modern day entrepreneurship, right? This is the modern way, the modern way of the world, right? So therefore, because of that, I think it's crucial. And I know for you, Nick's been able to build his whole business because of social media. You know, you've got thousands and thousands of followers, and I'll tell you this, I can tell you this. I mean, think about what happened, right? Like, there's companies that had the chance. I mean, look what happened to Toys R Us, right? What they did is they outsourced their sales online to Amazon, and Amazon is the one that killed them, right? They could have done so many great things when it comes to online. So that's one of the things that I would tell you, is the fact that if you're not on social media, you're not constantly posting. It doesn't have to be just lifestyle, but you're just not constantly posting. People are not getting to know your mind, who you are, what you're about. You're gonna go ahead and get killed by somebody like me or you. So
let me ask you a question. So, like I said, I just started following you. You know, even though we technically spoke over the phone,
yeah.
This is really our first time meeting face to face. But I do feel like I knew about you, or your, you know, some of your backstory. You've got a great video guy here. You want to go and just share what you're doing that has allowed you to go from a mortgage broker to one of the fastest growing mortgage companies in the country, to go from where you are today, which is 4, and you want to have 100 outlets or 100 offices in the next 12 months, which is explosive growth. You want to share what you're doing maybe online?
Yeah, so I learned a lot from Grant Cardone, Patrick Bet-David, people like that. And I mean, many things from Grant, like you have to aim really high. So for my event, it was my first event, and I said, we're gonna have 1,000 people, and everybody thought I was crazy. And I said, we're gonna have an event 3 months from now. So we had 3 months preparation. I set it up for 1,000 people, and everybody was like, dude, that's not enough time. Like 3 months and 1,000 people, and you're gonna have cars up there, exotic cars on stage and all that stuff. Everybody thought I was crazy, but I aimed high. and I came up a little short. It was over 600 people, but if I would have aimed for 500 people, I would probably came out with 200 people.
And to get 600 at your first event
Yeah.
was incredible.
I ended up speaking after Grant. It was like an honor for him to introduce me, and I've never spoken on stage ever. I've never spoken over in front of 50 people. It was my first time speaking after Grant, after he crushed, he killed it, and then I'm there, and I mean, I wasn't scared. I didn't feel, I was just ready. It was an opportunity, and I knew that sometimes you get opportunities and you have to be ready at all times, and I just wanted to take advantage of that opportunity, and it went really well. But it all started when I was a little kid. I've always wanted to work. I've always wanted to be productive. So when my dad used to be a painter, he's still a painter, and he used to paint homes in Beverly Hills. So when I was six years old, I used to tell him, "Hey, Dad, take me with you. I want to go help you. I want to go paint houses." Because as a kid, you want to do anything and everything. So my dad used to take me to Beverly Hills, and that's where I first saw the Ferraris, the nice homes. And I told my dad, "Hey, how come we don't have one of these red cars?" And my dad's like, "Well, you know, like my parents are they have limited beliefs, and they don't think big, and they think that they're just here to like limit themselves." And I told my dad, "Well, why can't we get that?" And my dad had a hard time explaining it to me. But he was just kind of like, "Well, that's for rich people." And I'm like, "Well, what's rich? What's like, why?" Like, so I just told my dad, "Hey, I'm going to get that car." And my dad was like, yeah, he encouraged me. He said, "If you work hard, you'll be able to get that car." So that's when I noticed, like, damn, I like that car, and I want to get that. So I think that's where I discovered that I was a driven person, and I had a lot of ambition, and that has remained all the time. And one key thing is that I never give up. So when I like saying that I'm going to do things, like, oh, I'm going to get this, I'm going to do that. I'm going to have 100 offices by the end of next year. I'm going to have 1,000 units by the end of next year. I say those things in public, and I tell everybody because I know I'm going to do it. I won't quit. I'll never stop, and I believe that I outwork everybody else. So there's nothing that's going to stop me, and I just create, I commit, and then I figure out things later, just like the event, just like everything I do in life. Like I tell my wife, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, pack your bag. We're flying out to Dallas, we're flying out to Miami, whatever. And I mean, it just works. I just believe in it, and that's what keeps me going.
So I have a question. So in order to 10X, you told us you had a mortgage broker locally that went from making $100,000 before you, and he comes to work for you, and now he made $1 million. What is the key to the 10X in sales? And, you know, with that, what was the strategy or marketing or tactics that allowed him to do that?
So one thing that I do differently from all the other mortgage lenders, banks, when you go to the bank or when you go get pre-approved for a loan, it's kind of scary and it's kind of boring. And borrowers, clients, they go into the bank like kind of shaking and nervous, and then you see the loan rep, the bank rep, they're like giving you that stare and kind of like shaking their head, and you're like almost dying of fear. At the mortgage guy, we have a system. All our offices follow the same exact step-by-step system. So when clients go into our office, they get greeted. They have their name on the screen.
What do you call your receptionist?
Director of First Impressions.
I thought that was pretty cool.
So Director of First Impressions. The Director of First Impressions greets the clients, shakes their hands, is really attentive. They have their name on the screen. He takes them to the conference room, gives them a VIP menu, which is like VIP. It makes the clients feel like, wow, this is an experience. They have a full menu. They have any kind of drink they want, appetizers. They see a video. They see a video of myself. They see like that I have a family, that I have a wife, I have a baby. They see that I'm a normal person. I'm not like a bank rep that's going to go and kill them. Like, I'm going to help them. So I make it fun, and it's actually a fun process of getting their home loan. When we close their loan and they get the keys to their house, we give them a champagne bottle and we take a picture with them. We just make them feel special. So that's something different that many other banks don't do that. And the customer service, the experience is so great that we just get a bunch of referrals, and our 4 offices are all killing it. And this guy, he had no system. His name is Willie. Willie, he's like a brother to me. He opened up my first office. He was one of the first people to believe in me. He joined the company. He was struggling to make 100K, I think 80K, and now he's making over $1 million just by following the mortgage guy system.
I'm just curious, when you were broke, living in your car, you were still selling mortgages?
Yeah. I never gave up.
I understand. So when you're living in your car struggling, how do you go show up at the office and, you know, put on the suit or whatever you're doing and put on that superhuman cape perspective? Because now it's, you know, now you're driving the Ferrari and, you know, everyone, you got this killer lifestyle. Take us back to then. Like, what kind of an experience were you able to create for the customers back then?
Well, back then, I didn't own my company. I used to work for a company. So I used to work for a broker, and I used to get a split, and I used to just be a loan officer. So I used to work, I used to do hard work. I used to work hard, but not smart. I used to be a loan rep. So I used to work for a company, and I had to do that to get a commission check and to pay my bills and to get out of where I was. 4 years ago was when I opened my company. I got my broker's license, opened up my own company, The Mortgage Guy. And that's when I stopped being a loan rep and I started being a business person. I started running a business, not being a loan rep. So a lot of the times you're scared because it's only you, and you feel you have to do everything to save money, and you don't want to hire people, you don't want to take risks, and that's the only way you're going to scale. So once I fixed my mind and I decided, you know
what did you do to fix your mind at that point?
Well, I surrounded myself with the right people. I got rid of people that were giving me bad advice, and I started listening to people like Grant Cardone, people like Brad Lee, people like Patrick Bet-David, and all these guys think alike. So they're just like, hire people, grow your army. So I started doing that. I started taking more risks, which are not really risks. I see them as opportunities. And now, I mean, you do add people, you add overhead, but your income 10x's or more, and that's what happened. And you got to understand that not everybody that you hire is going to work out. For every 10 people that you hire, you're going to get one great person. So you just have to keep hiring and replacing people, and that's just part of the game.
I'm interested in learning a little bit about your services now, especially in the education space, because you're in mortgage sales. Now you're doing very high-end masterminds. Someone like me, I'm B2C and working on scale, and so you have over 300,000 clients that will go to seminars, and then you'll have, say, 600, but you might have out of 600, maybe 10 or 20 of them that will give you $30,000. I'm curious what those people that are paying for those high-end masterminds want. Is it more mortgage advice? Is it just higher peer to accountability groups? What is it that you're offering your clients as a service?
Well, it's really important to surround yourself with powerful people. So your circle of influence is really important. I wouldn't be here right now if it wouldn't been for me paying for a mastermind. Like I paid for masterminds 26 grand for a year. I was getting coached, and I was in.
Was that a stretch for you at the time or no?
Yeah. But I never. I mean, I don't worry about paying bills. I just focus on creating extra income. So as long as I create an overflow of income, I don't have to worry about paying bills. I don't have to worry about paying cars. I don't have to worry about anything. And I create multiple flows of income, which, I mean, my apartments, my apartment rentals, that's what's creating wealth for me. The mortgage guy, the real estate company, my mastermind groups, I make some money there, right? But that's just like I get paid for that. Real estate, apartments, they're creating wealth for me. So what I'm doing differently than many other mortgage and real estate people is I'm thinking bigger and creating wealth. So I'm being a little bit more smart about it. I don't just go buy cars and buy homes and like luxury homes. And what I do is I buy apartment buildings that I rent that pay me some passive income. And there's an overflow of passive income that's paying for all my toys and paying for my lifestyle and paying, and I just keep getting more and more apartment buildings. So right now what I'm doing is I'm selling all my properties here in LA because I'm moving to Houston, and I'm getting 100 units in Houston. So I went from having 20 units here to now having 100 units in Houston. And then from there, my goal for next year is to 10x it and have 1,000 units. And I mean, I want to have freedom. I want to create my dream life, and that's what I'm working on.
The whole concept of 10x is interesting to me because we used to be a fast-growing company like you when we first started and doubling our size of our company. Now you're talking about growing 10x the size of your company. I find it interesting as a number because our targets are way smaller. And I still think it's a little fast, where we're targeting 20% growth year to year, which is doubling every 4 years.
Yeah.
So this 10x system, is it just because you're aiming high, like the Air Force, they aim high, they want to accomplish lofty goals? Or is it because you have realistic expectations that you're going to hit these key performance indicators?
Yeah, I mean, I have these are my expectations. Like another thing that I learned from Grant, and I like to give credit to Grant because then he tells me.
Let's get Grant on the phone. Let's call.
So Grant talks about multiplying, not adding. So when you get a 20% increase, you're just adding. I'm focused on multiplying, on 10xing it, 20xing it. Like my first property, I'll tell you a funny story. My first 3-unit property that I bought it as I got an FHA loan. That's a loan for first-time home buyers. You're supposed to live in 1 unit, and you could rent the other 2 units. You could do this loan up to 4 units. So I bought this property. I opened escrow, and the agent was double-ending the sale. He listed the house and he was selling it. So he was like, oh cool, I'm gonna sell it to Albert. And he thought that I made a lot of money, and he thought that I was killing it and had a lot of savings and had a great credit. Well, back 4 years ago, I still had collections from 2008. So I was cleaning up my credit. So I opened escrow and I said, well, what? I don't have anything to lose. Well, just a deposit, $3,000. So I opened escrow with $3,000. I didn't even have the 12 grand as a down payment for the house. So I figured I'll just get extensions and I'll drag this to 3 months. And in 3 months, while in escrow, I'll save up the 12 grand and I'll fix my credit. So I just committed, and I mean, what do I have to lose? A lot of people are scared to lose stuff. You don't really have anything. So they're scared of losing what?
They're scared of losing their imaginary assets.
Yeah, like that. I mean, this is something that Brad taught me this, but yeah. So I opened escrow, I extended it. It took over 90 days. I ended up closing the sale. I saved 12 grand while in escrow, and I fixed my credit while in escrow. And the agent hated me. Like he didn't know that this was coming, but I committed, and I said, well, fuck it, I'll lose 3,000. What the hell? I don't have anything yet right now anyway. So that property, I invested 12 grand, and in 4 years, that 12 grand turned into $1 million. Wow. So 12. And
that's a good ROI.
Yeah, that's a great ROI. So that's why now I'm thinking about like doing it again. So.
I think it's really cool also that you have a wife that stuck with you through the thick and the difficult times. I met my wife when I was homeless also, and I was living out of volunteers' places. I had volunteers crashing at their place around the world traveling. And you have a wife that's doing that. I'm curious about how your wife is a part of your business life or how you're a part of her business life.
Well, that's something really important to me. It's special. I call her my rib. So she was there in the good times, or at least she thought they were the good times. But I was blowing the last chunks of money that I had. 2007 is when I met her. So I still had. I mean, I was broke, but I was partying like a rock star, and she thought I had a lot of money, but I didn't. I was actually living paycheck to paycheck, and because I was losing my houses and my car. But at the age of 21, I bought 2 homes. I had a nice car already. 21. I always been a hustler, but I was losing everything when I met her. But she thought I was killing it. But then I lost everything. She stayed. She remained. And then
you got a good one.
And she remained all through this process. We're business partners. She's my gym partner. She's my vacation, but she's my best friend. So, like sometimes, like the way I see, like right now, like I used to have a lot of women and be that stud with all the girls, and I mean I committed to my wife, and now I have a 9-month-old baby.
Congratulations.
Her name is Italia. I left her. Thank you. I named her after the Ferrari Italia. Yeah. So and it's funny because now, well, that's a different topic, but yeah. So Sil, like some people ask me like, would you ever? You want to go have fun and you want to hook up with some chicks. And I know a lot of guys that are married, they still fool around. But my answer to that is I wouldn't want to hurt would you guys want to hurt your best friend? So I see her as my best friend. So I wouldn't want to hurt my best friend. And so she's there for like whenever I need her, she's there. We go to the gym together. She's in the office all the time. Like when I'm gone, she's in the office running some stuff. So we do everything together and it doesn't get in the way. Like when people say you can't work with your partner, it's bullshit because it works for me, and I know it works for Grant.
I think one of the things that I appreciate about you, and I think that I've gone from this interview, is the fact that, and this is a suggestion that I would give anybody that's watching this, is at one point, and I remember learning this from my mentor, you got to plant your flag, stump your feet, and say, you know what, I'm going to move forward with this, and I'm going to be committed. And when you're committed to something, and that's literally everything, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Your life automatically changes in every way, shape, and form when you commit to something. And I think the one thing that all of us in this couch share together is just probably the commitment of relentless repetition until it works, until it goes through with it, until it happens. And I know, for example, one of the great things that I learned from Nick, it's definitely like just plowing through it, regardless of what happens, when you've got a vision in mind, right? So therefore, like, man, it's pretty awesome.
So I know you got to go buy another Ferrari. So let's do this speed round. I'll just ask you a quick question, whatever comes to mind. Ready? So favorite book?
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay. Favorite quote that you live by?
The way you do everything, the way you do one thing is the way you do everything.
What is your favorite charity and cause and why?
Helping children.
Awesome. And what's one thing on your bucket list?
To get a private jet.
Which one? Is it the 10X Grant Cardone one you go? You want 20X? You want 20X Airlines, don't you?
Yeah, I'm probably going to do a 100X Airlines.
Grant, I am coming for you. So is he, so is Nick, and so is Adam. Anyway, listen, on all seriousness, this is the first time we've met. It's been an absolute pleasure and honor. I hope we get to know each other better. I mean, his story is remarkable, going from homeless, living in his car, to, cranking away and being one of the fastest growing mortgage companies in America. Follow him on Instagram, on Facebook. Follow Adam, follow Nick, follow myself. But do yourself a favor. Take something you just heard and implement it like right away, or share it with someone else. Just go take action. If I learned anything from you today, it was really massive action and big results. So I hope you guys learned something. Share it on social media with someone that could benefit from it. So hope you guys got some value, and we appreciate you. And we'll connect until next time.
Cheers, awesome, great meeting you. Love to see you at the birthday party we're having here at the house in the next couple weeks. And thanks so much for coming down.